Hare Krishna, Sahadev Prabhu, I cannot hear Prabhupada. I think the audio needs to be shared.
Hare Krishna, Mother Radha Govinda. Welcome.
Yeah, now I could hear, now it stopped.
Yeah, he's working on it.
राधा कृष्ण को गोविंदा शाम कुंड राधा कुंड की जय, वृंदावन धाम की जय, नवदीप धाम की जय, गंगा माई की जय, जमुना माई की जय, द्वारका धाम की जय, स्वामी भक्तवृंद की जय, और ग्लोरी टू और ग्लोरी टू थैंक यू वेरी मच।
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept our humble obeisances. All glories to Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada. All glories to our revered speaker for today, Her Grace Sri Radha Govinda Devi, and all glories to the servant Vaishnava devotees. Today is the 17th day of January 2025, and it's Friday, the last day of the busy week. And busy working week. We are very much privileged. We have Her Grace, Sri Radha Govinda, with us. As much as I love to see Mother Sri Radha Govinda, she also gives me a little bit of nostalgia because she reminds me of Sri Radha Govinda at Media Accra. I miss their lordships sometimes, as crazy as I am. So thank you so much for being here, Mother Sri Radha Govinda. And without further ado, we may put the verse on the screen and you take it over from here. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Mukhakaroti Vachalam Pangoram Gayate Girim Yatkripa Tamaham Vande Shri Guru Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Jayapataka Swami Niti Namine Nama Acharya Padaya Nitai Kripa Pradayine Gaurakata Damadaya Nagaragramatariणे Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Thank you, Sahadev Prabhu. Thank you, my dear devotees. What a beautiful verse. So this is the famous verse, which is the umbrella of the lotus feet of Lord Sri Krishna, our dear Krishna. We're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd Canto, Chapter 5, Text 39. Deva uchuhu Namamate Devapadarvindam Prapannatapopashamatapatram Yanmulaketayatayognyasoru Samsara Dukkham Bahirukshipanti. We should read it 2 more times. Namamadevam Padarvindam Prapannatapopashamatapatram Yanmulaketayatayognyasoru Samsara Dukkham Bahirukshipanti. Namamate Deva Padarvindam Prapannatapopashamatapatram Yanmulaketayatayognyasoru Samsara Dukkham Bahirukshipanti. Word by word. Deva Uchuhu, the demigod, said, Namama, we offer respectful obeisances. Te, your, Deva, O Lord, Padaravindam, lotus feet, Prapanna, surrendered, Tapa, distress, Upashama, suppresses, Atapatram, umbrella, Yatmulaketaha, shelter of the lotus feet, Yatayaha, great sages, Anjasa, totally, Uru, great. Samsara Dukkham. What is it? Modes of material existence. Can we move the miseries? Thank you. Miseries of material existence. Bahihi, out. Utshipanti, forcibly throw. Translation. The demigod said, O Lord, your lotus feet are like an umbrella for the surrendered souls, protecting them from all the miseries of material existence. All the sages under that shelter throw off all material miseries. We therefore offer our respectful obeisances unto your lotus feet. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, who makes everything that Vyasadeva wrote more beautiful. There are many sages and saints who engage in trying to conquer rebirth and all other material miseries. But of all of them, those who take shelter under the lotus feet of the Lord can completely throw off all such miseries without difficulty. Others who are engaged in transcendental activities in different ways cannot do so. For them, it is very difficult. They may artificially think of becoming liberated without accepting the shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. But that is not possible. One is sure to fall again to material existence from such false liberation, even though one may have undergone severe penances and austerities. This is the opinion of the demigods, who are not only well versed in Vedic knowledge, but are also seers of the past, present, and future. The opinions of the demigods are valuable because the demigods are authorized to hold positions in the affairs of universal management. They are appointed by the Lord as his confidential servants. Can we read the text again? The demigods said, "O Lord, your lotus feet are like an umbrella for the surrendered souls, protecting them from all the miseries of material existence. All the sages under that shelter throw off all material miseries. We therefore offer our respectful obeisances unto your lotus feet." Jai Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So there are three main points that we will be discussing today. Can I be enabled to share my screen, please? Thank you. So the first point, what we see here, is the material miseries. When I read this verse, I was like, oh my God, I've been a devotee I was born in a devotee family, and then I've been practicing Krishna consciousness. I'm initiated for 22 years, but I still struggle with so many gross and subtle material desires, material miseries, as expressed in this verse. So this is a little presentation today for all of you. The first, I kind of composed like some poetry to express this verse in a prayerful manner, because this verse is saying that, Prabhupada is saying that no amount of austerities and penances can actually please the Lord. Even Prahlad Maharaj in the 7th canto says the same thing, because Hiranyakashipu was very expert at austerities and penances. And where did he end up? He, of course, ended up on the lap of Nrsingadev, but with his intestines open and Nrsingadev garlanded with his intestine. If we're talking about that kind of a destination, then we can talk about why austerities and penances can help us. But this verse, this section, is a completely dimension of spiritual bliss. So the ocean, right? It's the ocean of samsara. So drowning in the ocean of samsara, I cry. Waves of desires rising, pulling me high. The storm of karma, relentless and wild, crushes my heart like a helpless child. So in this particular verse, there's an assurance that if devotees take shelter of Krishna's lotus feet, we will be able to throw the material miseries. And I was like, Daiviyasha gunamai mamamaya duratyaya. Yeah. Shri Radha Govinda Dasi, wait a minute. That may sound awesome and cool in the scriptures. Yes, there was Gajendra crying only for 1,000 years, calling the Lord, pulling up his little lotus, asking the Lord to come. It only took 1,000 years for the Lord to come. And you're going to have the Lord come in what, 2 days? No, not even 22 years. So the truth is that this heart of mine, as much as I want to take shelter of Krishna's lotus feet, these waves of desires, that's represented in this verse. Prapannatapo pashamata patram. So this tapa, this material desires, these material miseries are like waves crashing the storm of karma that I carry, right? Burdens, anarthas. Yanmulaketa yatayognya soru. So this these waves, there's very chaotic. And this poetry, this is like a realization from that section. Yet in the chaos, a vision appears, a golden glow, dissolving my fears. 2 soft lotus feet, radiant and pure. Their touch, a promise. My soul's only cure. So my only cure for this, right? Yanmulaketa. Yanmulaketa means the shelter. The shelter of what? Not shelter of my friends, my family, my own bank balance, my educational qualification, my spouse, my parents, my physical strength, my beauty. No. Yanmulaketa, the shelter of the lotus feet of Krishna. So that's the only way that we can get out of this samsara dukkham. So this existence without that shelter of Krishna is it's a whirlpool. Samsara dukkham bahirup kshipanti. The whirlpool of doubts drag me below. Tides of attachment refusing to let go. The shores of peace seem too far to find, as the weight of my burdens shackle my mind. I mean, this is reality, okay? This is reality for me. I don't know about you. But this is the reality. As I'm trying to take shelter of Krishna's lotus feet, these doubts are dragging me down. And then my attachment, I may use Krishna conscious principles, listen to your authorities. That may turn into my seeking validation from people. Krishna will take care of your needs. Oh, but why is Krishna not answering certain needs that I have? So there is this weight of burdens that is actually like a chain, which is keeping me samsara dukkham. And these burdens, these attachments, these seeking validation, this crocodile of attachment that is pulling me down into this deep ocean. And it's the crocodile of my own mind's expectations. That crocodile is not ordinary, by the way. If we're talking about Gajendra's crocodile, who was the name of that crocodile? He was not an ordinary crocodile. He was actually a Gandharva, an angelic being who was cursed to be a crocodile. And Gajendra was also not an ordinary elephant. He was not just the ordinary king of elephants. He was King Indradyumna, a great devotee of Krishna. And he was cursed too. So my dear friends, my dear brothers and sisters, today we can meditate on this beautiful lotus feet of Krishna. Asking and engaging each breath that is heavy with these shackles. Each breath is heavy, a struggle to survive in this endless sea where no hope thrives. The horizon is dim, no light to lead, only the echoes of my unfulfilled need. So this crocodile of my addictions, my weaknesses, my vulnerabilities, my attachments, all these things that are dragging me down can actually be the reason for me to take shelter of Krishna. Just like Gajendra, who is glorified even after thousands of years the pastime happened, we're still glorifying that king of elephants. Draupadi, 5,000 years ago, she tried her best to hold on to the sari when Dushasana was trying to pull that sari. And that sari can represent my honor, my integrity, my fame, my name, my reputation. And I might be keeping masks from people around, not showing who I am really. And then one day, Krishna is going to send that crocodile or the Dushasana to drag me down, only for me to realize that Krishna wants me to recognize these shackles, to recognize these burdens, so that I can take shelter of the lotus feet. There is an expression, we cannot ride in two boats at the same time or ride two horses at the same time. So similarly, I was talking to my own mind, manas shiksha, preaching to my own mind. Do you really want the lotus feet of Krishna, which is the umbrella? Prabhupada is saying, the verse is saying that the umbrella, because the stormy weather of this material world is not going to provide me with happiness, belonging, sense of acceptance, all that I'm seeking, all that, what do I want to call it? The word is all the substitutes. I am looking for substitute of Krishna in this world. That's why each breath of mine is heavy. That's why I'm struggling to survive. That's why the sea seems endless where there is no hope. Because there is no alternate to Krishna. It's only a deep, dark, black hole, which nothing of this world can fill that. The horizon is dim. So today, my dear friends, I want us to consider how our struggles, our unmet needs, my pain, my burden, my trauma, look at it from a different light. The echoes of my unfulfilled need. What if that's the calling for me to turn to Krishna? What if that's the way that I'm going to bow my head like Bali Maharaj did, so the lotus feet of Krishna can go above his head? What if the snakes that Hiranyakashipu left in a room for Prahlad to be bitten by is the way that I'm going to wake up, understanding that my senses will never give me the pleasures that I'm seeking for? What if that sari that I'm holding on to and expecting Bhishma and Dronacharya and other great warriors, including the 5 great husbands of Draupadi, who could not save her honor? Who am I to expect that my friends, my kin, my family, my people will rescue me from my struggles? So today's the day that we can see one secret. What's the secret? The secret is that a boat, right? A boat of mercy is ready. It's ready for us. A boat of mercy, steady and strong, guides me through the current where I belong. That's where I truly belong. Krishna's feet, the refuge I seek. Their shelter turns my heart from weak to meek. Yeah, vulnerability, powerlessness is the strength. It's not weakness. Arjuna in the beginning of Bhagavad Gita was so weak. He said, Krishna Govinda, I do not want to fight. I give up, Krishna Govinda. I cannot stand here any longer. My hands are trembling. I don't want to fight this war. The same Arjuna, later in the 3rd chapter, gets back up and becomes the warrior that the universe had never seen. Why? Because he took shelter of Krishna's lotus feet. That's the eternal refuge for devotees. That's the liberation that I'm seeking. That's the only way out of material suffering. So today, let's enter into that mood of meditating on the beauty of Krishna's lotus feet, his beauty, the significance. You can see Krishna himself is sucking his own toe. By the way, this is a huge, the whole world, universal destruction is happening, and he is lying on a leaf and sucking his own toe. So this toes that Krishna is sucking on is celebrated in all the scriptures, in the devotional songs and poetry. And this lotus feet is what resides in the hearts of the sages and the great devotees. Ikonode ranganatana putta padava ಸಿಕ್ಕಿ ತೀರ್ತಿ ಲಕ್ಷ್ಮೀಪತಿಯ ದಿವ್ಯ ಪಾದವ ಇಕೋನೋಡೆ ರಂಗನತನ ಪುಟ್ಟ ಪಾದವ ಶಂಖ ಚಕ್ರ ಗದಾ ಪದ್ಮ ಅಂಕಿತ ಪಾದವ ಅಂಕುಶ ಕುಲಿಶ ಧ್ವಜಾರೇಖ ಅಂಕಿತ ಪಾದವ ಪಂಕಜಸನನ ಹೃದಯದಲ್ಲಿ ನಲಿವ ಪಾದವ ಶಂಕಟಹರಣ ವೆಂಕಟೇಶನ ದಿವ್ಯ ಪಾದವ ಇಕೋನೋಡೆ ರಂಗನಾಥನ ಪುಟ್ಟ ಪಾದವ. The lotus feet of Krishna, with each step, right, with the mercy of the lotus feet of Krishna, with each step on this divine boat, the umbrella, the weight of samsara begins to float. The breeze of grace fills my empty sails, as Krishna's mercy never fails. Krishna's mercy never fails. And in this particular song that I just sang, it's actually written by a Vaishnava. He is actually Vidura's incarnation. Let me just show you. There he is. This is actually a drawing, a painting of Kanakadasa. He appeared just before the time of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It's a very, very special pastime why he appeared and his purpose. But in today's talk, we will only touch upon this particular song. This devotee wrote a beautiful song based on this particular verse of Srimad Bhagavatam 3.5.39. And he describes, oh, my dear devotees, clean your hearts. Come on, clean your hearts. Because the lotus feet is in your heart. Krishna's lotus feet is in the temple of your heart. Come on, Lakshmi Pati Divya Padava. This is the Lord of the goddess of fortune. And with this little baby lotus feet, from little to big, of course, he performed many, many pastimes. And he starts with glorifying the symbols on the feet of Krishna. There are Shankha, Chakra, Gada, Padma, Ankita, Padava. So all these different symbols represent some very significant psychological, introspective, and spiritual significance. We will get to that shortly. after I finish explaining this verse. Then he says that Pankajasana Hridayadalli. So this lotus feet is held, glorified by all the goddesses of fortune in all the three worlds. And Sankataharana Venkateshana Divya Padava. This is my favorite. Sankatahara. Sankata means difficulty. Venkata means Krishna. So in difficulties, the boat of the lotus feet of Krishna is at sight for a devotee. In the storms of this material existence, the umbrella of Krishna's lotus feet is available, just like Krishna lifted up Giri Govardhan for us. So Giriraj is up. It's up to you whether you're going to go under the hill or stand outside and drench in the rain. So that umbrella is also the Giriraj. Giri Govardhan is the umbrella. So to take shelter of Krishna's lotus feet, to take shelter under the umbrella of Krishna's mercy. Lalana Lakshmi Ankadalli Naliva Padava Jalajasanana Abhishtavella Sarisuva Padava Malaragedu Kamsasurana Konda Padava Baliya Metti Bhagiratiya Padeda Padava. We can go on for 5 hours about every single pastime that Krishna did just with his lotus feet. So he danced on the heads of Kaliya. He was walking in the paths of Vrindavan forest, and the gopis would look for Krishna with those lotus footprints on the sand. And they would go mad just looking at the lotus prints of Krishna's lotus feet. And this same lotus feet, which would conquer the hearts of the gopis, also went and kicked front side, back side, every side of the demons. And he would immediately win. He would have victory over great warriors like Mushtika Shura Chanura Malla Malla Visharada Madhusudana. So he would kick all these demons in many, many ways. And there was also Bandilidda Shakatasurana Vadda Padava. So there was, I have to show you the picture here. My pictures are a little bit up and down. So let me see. That's Krishna dancing on Kaliya. I just made that with AI today. This image of Krishna dancing. How lucky. This is Shakatasura. Couldn't make an AI picture, but this is a Shakatasura picture. You see in the form of a cart. He was hiding in the form of a cart. And Krishna as a little baby just give one little kick. And Shakatasura was gone. He was gone. He was dead. Pandaya Balaya Madidda Uddanda Padava Pandilidda Shakatasurana Vadda Padava Andaja Hanuma Bujadolupuva Divya Padava Kandevina Avuranga Vitalana Divya Padava. So Krishna has taken a vow. What is his vow? To protect the heart where he resides. Imagine, I mean, some of you may have experience. Maybe you're sharing a room with somebody and they're not keeping your room clean. You have a guest who's making a mess in your house, or maybe you have a partner or a child or a parent who's keeping the area messy. You get annoyed, right? It's very difficult to live in a space where it's dirty. So Krishna only requests for his lotus feet to shine within our hearts, that our hearts must be clean, must be pure. So let me go back to those two things before jumping into the significance. This one. Gopali Sundari, would you like to read this poetry?
Hare Krishna, sure. O Lord of my heart, let me never part from your lotus feet, the anchor of my heart. No longer drowning, I'm safe at last. In your eternal shelter, my suffering is past. Forever I serve, forever I sing of the lotus feet of my eternal King. In the ocean of samsara, I no longer roam, for Krishna's feet have brought me home.
Hey, Krishna. So this, as our meditation, we're going to go a little bit deeper into Krishna's feet, how it resembles the lotus, how the soft, fragrant, divine lotus feet and the markings on those feet, those auspicious symbols such as Shankha Chakra, conch shell disc, a lotus flag. Each of them have a philosophical significance. And the acharyas describe that the softness of Krishna's lotus feet, it is described that let me just go for, okay, yeah. The lotus represents the softness of Krishna's heart as well, his loving nature. And the austerity of walking barefoot on Vrindavan forest. Krishna was walking with those soft petal-like lotus feet. I mean, the feet here is not Krishna's, okay? There's the idea is the lotus feet. That's a kind of our feet. Our feet is like so tough, we can walk around barefoot, but Krishna's feet was so soft, so which represents him walking in Vrindavan forest. It reflects how he was so ready for sacrificing for his devotees. So the gopis could go mad looking at his lotus feet. So okay, so now just go back. Okay, this is him walking in the Vrindavan forest. So okay, few things. Krishna, when he was a child, when his tiny feet, when he would crawl in the floor of Nanda Baba, in the Gokula, and then he would leave all these enchanting footprints. All this was, how do you say, to be able to experience the joy of seeing baby Krishna's lotus feet requires thousands and thousands of tapasya, years of austerity and tapasya. So this was enchanting the hearts of Vrindavan Vasis. And in the Damodar Leela, when Mother Yashoda bound Krishna, she bound him with that infinite love. And in Govardhan Leela, also when Krishna lifted Giri Govardhan with his little pinky finger, all the devotees were able to directly worship the feet of Krishna, and they were able to see the lotus footprints that he had left when he left Vrindavan. Yeah, so let's get into the philosophical significance, how taking shelter of Krishna's lotus feet releases us from the blazing miseries of this material world. So, okay, let's get into this, and if you have any questions, you can take it down and then we will address it. So also Krishna's lotus feet are the boat. It is represented that boat. It's a boat because it carries us across this samsara. Samsara is the ocean of material existence. It takes us beyond that. And then to surrender to his lotus feet is also us declaring that Krishna is my king, Krishna is my master. Okay, first of all, let's start with conch, Shankha, on the right-hand corner on the top. You can see the conch shell, Shankha. What's the meaning of conch shell? Conch shell represents knowledge. Conch shell also represents transcendental sound, and especially the sound of Omkara, and Krishna's holy names, which the Shankha, when you blow it in Bengal, we all blow the conch shell and we do the ululu dwani. May have heard that. So both of this represents how the sound vibration of Krishna's holy names has the potency to liberate us from this material bondage. So the message in the conch shell, every time you look at lotus feet of Krishna and the conch shell, should remind us, chant Krishna's names and glorify him. You'll be free from material bondage. Then is the disc. The disc is where does the disc come? First is the Shankha, and then the chakra here. The chakra is here on the left-hand corner. Shankha, Chakra, Gada, Padma. So that goes in that order. So the chakra represents Krishna's power to protect his devotees against all negative influences. And negative influences external and internal. There are negative influences on the outside, there are enemies on the outside. And there are enemies inside also. Anarthas are inside also attacking us. So Krishna, Mare Krishna Rakhe Krishna Mareke. When you see a chakra in the lotus feet of Krishna, you can remember that. If Krishna wants to protect you, nobody can harm you. And if Krishna wants to humble you, nobody can exalt you. That's the message there. And Krishna is the controller. He's the boss. And he has the ability to release us. And the chakra also represents the cycle of birth and death. So he can also release us from that birth and death. And Shankha Chakra, Padma. Padma is Kamala. Kamala is lotus, Padma or lotus, Kamala is all the same word. So the lotus represents Krishna's purity. Krishna's beauty, Krishna's transcendence. And very important is that lotus grows in muddy water, but it's untouched by it. So Krishna cares about my pain. He cares about my stupidity, my vulnerabilities and weakness, but he doesn't get affected by them. And so therefore we should take our weaknesses also to Krishna. So this should remind us, lotus should remind us that Krishna is very soft-hearted, but he's also not contaminated by the muddy water. So Krishna remains pure and detached while keep pulling us out of this material world. And then there is the flag, the dwaja. Dwaja is here, over here. This is the flag. So the flag of Krishna, the flag in the lotus feet of Krishna represents victory, Jaya Pataka. So that's this symbol of victory, indicating that Krishna will always win, even if he doesn't pick up a weapon, and he's just a chariot driver for Arjuna. Partha Sarati. What a person, right? He doesn't have insecurity complex. He becomes a chariot driver for his devotee, right? That's true victory. So he doesn't suffer from inferiority complex or something. And even without picking a weapon, he can bring victory to the Pandavas. So this flag represents that we should have faith in Krishna and Krishna's devotees. That even temporarily it may appear like, oh, why this devotee is getting away doing this nonsense, why these wrong leaders are in position, whatever it may seem temporarily, we should have faith that by taking shelter of Krishna, victory will come, even if it's after 13 years of exile in the forest like the Pandavas. The victory will always be on the side of those who take shelter of Krishna. And then is the Vajra. I'm going by the description. So here, this is the flag and this is the Vajra. Vajra is the thunderbolt. The thunderbolt represents strength, decisiveness, opposite of what I go through, right? Confusion, weakness. So Krishna is like thunderbolt. He reminds devotees that you are insignificant, but it doesn't matter. Why? Because Krishna's lotus feet has the thunderbolt in it. So we are significant by connecting with Krishna's significance. Otherwise, independently alone, I'm just an insignificant dust. But when I connect myself in service to Krishna, then my significance and my value and my worth, then it grows, the determination. That's the point there. And then is the gourd, the Ankusha. Ankusha, where is Ankusha? Ankusha, I think, I'm not sure if that's the Ankusha. I have Ankusha, as I remember, it's the gourd. Can you see the gourd? Is this the gosh? No, I don't think that one is. The gourd is the one that, I really like the explanation of the gourd. So, these elephants, right? When the elephants are to be tamed, it's just a very sharp little thing. I think the Ankusha is this one. This one is the Ankusha. Where is the, it seems like here. Urdhvareka. Urdhvareka is the Ankusha. No, sorry. Urdhvareka is not the Ankusha. I'm sorry. Gourd is this one here. Ankusha is here. This is the gourd. Yeah, this small one here. Sorry, I got confused for a minute. So the gourd is the instrument used to steer the elephants. When the elephant gets pricked by that gourd, it redirects the direction of the elephant. Similarly, the gourd represents that Krishna's ability to control and guide the minds of his devotees, because sometimes we get deviated, we get distracted. So that gourd, it leads, hey, no, you're going on the wrong path. He steers the purpose. So it sometimes can prick. It can make us feel like, I thought this is good for my spiritual life, but why am I not getting this? And Krishna is like, well, I don't think so. You need something else, my dear. Change the direction. So like the elephant says, oh, that's a beautiful garden. I'm just going to go and destroy all the flowers there. And then the driver says, no, that's not what we're going to do. Go on the left path. We're going to pick Radha Madhava up for the chariot walk. So Krishna directs us. We may be wanting to go in a certain direction, and he says, no, I don't think so. So he saves us. Okay, and then there's, my favorite, another Matsya, fish. The fish signifies many things, and one of them is the Krishna's mercy. It flows like water. It reaches everywhere. It can nourish everybody, all living beings, all little plants. Everybody can be nourished because it's like how fish swims in water. So that's the dexterity, the agility. It also symbolizes his ability to rescue devotees from the ocean of samsara. So that ocean theme keeps coming up often, again and again. We are lost in samsara, and Krishna can rescue us. And Rupa Goswami, this is such a, it was mind blowing when I heard it, and it remained in my heart. So Rupa Goswami says that in order for the fish in the lotus feet of Krishna swim in our hearts need to melt and become water. And if we are hard-hearted, if our hearts are filled with resentment and tough, the fish in the lotus feet of Krishna cannot swim in our hearts. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur, in his bhajans, also he sings, Kabe habe bolo se din amar, kabe habe bolo se din amar, aparada guchi shuddho name ruchi, kripa bale habe hridaya sanchar. So reflecting on the same theme of Rupa Goswami and the fish in the lotus feet of Krishna, Bhaktivinoda Thakur also says, when will that day come? When will that day come when that mercy will strike and swim in the heart of my, in the core of my heart, the heart which becomes free from all impurities, and the pure holy names are floating in my heart, and the pure holy name is going to connect me to my divine lover and Father Krishna. So when will that day come? Bhaktivinoda Thakur sings. And then we have Chhatra, today's verse. The Chhatra is the umbrella of the protection, the umbrella of shelter, right? We all get protection from umbrella. So complete refuge. Krishna gives complete refuge to his devotees, whether we are sinners, whether we are struggling, whether we are great sadhakas, whether we are crying, asking Krishna, please help me to chant nicely. Regardless of which situation we are in, he gives protection, just like the umbrella can give protection. And then we have the Dhanush. Dhanush is the bow. Here it is, the Dhanush which Ramachandra carries. So the Dhanush represents Krishna's readiness to uphold dharma and protect his devotees under all circumstances. He assures, yada yada hi dharmasya glanirбhavati bharata abhyutthanam adharmasya tadatmanam shrujamyam. Just like Lord Ram shot Ravana with his bow, similarly Krishna has given a promise that he will protect the devotees. Paritranaya sadhunam. He'll protect the divinity in us, and he will destroy the ignorance. So sometimes in our heart, there is not only divinity, there's also mixtures. Krishna defends our goodness and helps us through that protective instinct. And then we have the cow's hoof print, Goshpada, here it is. So the hoof print of the cow, Gokurma, it's also called Goshpada, and it's also called Gokurmaka. The hoof print symbolizes how Krishna loves the cows, and he is Gopala, the cowherd boy, and he is a protector of cows. So it's the connection of Krishna's simplicity, the Vrindavan Leela, and him being Gopala. And then we have the Ardhachandra, the half moon. Here it is, Ardhachandra. And the half moon represents Krishna's nourishing, because the moon nourishes us. So it's nourishment and soothing effect of Krishna's grace. And it indicates how Krishna can provide us with that, what moon provides us, soothing, shelter, nourishment. It nourishes all the grains. If it was only sun, all the plants would die. But because of the moon's nourishment, so he is kind, he is gentle. So we should also be gentle with ourselves. Okay, and then we have the Kalasha. The Kalasha is the picture. Where is Kalasha? Which side is Kalasha? Here. This is a Kalasha. It's F4 actually. So the Kalasha pictures represents abundance, prosperity. Again, Krishna promises Yoga Kshevam Vahamyaham in Bhagavad Gita, that he will protect what we have and he'll provide what we need. So it signifies that Krishna fulfill all the desires of the devotees if it's beneficial for us, even both material and spiritual. Okay, then we have the triangle, the trikona. So the trikona represents the three modes of material nature, how Krishna is beyond the three modes of material nature. Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas, and not only beyond, he's also the controller. Karma kritagama, he's beyond karma, he's kalantargata kalaniyamaka kalatita trikalagnya. So he knows past, present, and future, and he's beyond them, and he's the controller of them as well. So it highlights that Krishna's transcendence is above the three modes, above this material world, and also it represents that Krishna can help us. Like sometimes we think, oh, I wasted so many years of my life, and we go into lamentation, but we don't need to. Because for Krishna, the essence of time is not like how it is for us. For him, it's the past, present, and future. He can wait. He has all the time in the world, eternity. He can wait for us. Like Bharat Maharaj, he waited 3 lifetimes until he completed the lesson. So he doesn't look at our life in one life. He looks at the whole bigger picture, like in the movie, the whole bigger picture. All right. Then we have the Shakti, the spear. The spear. Where is the spear here? I saw it earlier. This is the spear. Anybody sees the spear? It's the spear. That's the. It's a weapon, right? No, I don't see it. It's a Shakti. It basically destroys the ignorance. It destroys demonic qualities, and this weapon is also it's going to eliminate all the negativity. Oh God, this is like an exam, forgetting the answers in the exam. Embarrassing. Okay. Then we have there's also flower garland. The flower represents Krishna's beauty, how he's the most beautiful. That's why he's Krishna. He attracts everyone. It emphasizes the all attractiveness of Krishna. And then we have also there is the Ratha Chakra, right? There is also the other chakra. This one, I think, Antakona. Yeah, this one is another one. There is Swastika, there is Jambupala. This is a Chhatra. Yeah, this one we covered. Then we covered Vajra, we covered Dwaja, Ankusha, we covered. Oh, Urdhva Rekha, I really like that one because this is the way that he pulls us out of the material world. He just kind of like it's like the rope when we're drowning or floating there, and then Krishna puts that rope and say, okay, come on, hang on, and then he pulls us up. Oh, amazing. All right, I think we covered most of them. The Ratha one is also the spiritual journey. Yeah, this one here is a spiritual journey to come to Krishna. So all these are connected to our own individual journeys. So it's an invitation for Krishna. Krishna is inviting us to meditate on his qualities, on his pastimes, and to remind us how the lotus feet of Krishna, why the sages who worship the lotus feet are free from material miseries. Because each of the representations that we just studied, with that kind of guidance, with that kind of redirection, with that kind of shelter, we cannot be lost. Okay, so that's for today. Great devotees, whether it's Uddhava, Narad Muni testing, the dust of the Krishna's lotus feet story. We can see so many examples of even the dust of Krishna's lotus feet is very, very glorified. And also to just end this, and then we'll see if we have any questions. Uddhava, when he went to Vrindavan and he heard about all the pastimes, his desire was to be born as grass in Vrindavan so that he can receive the dust from the lotus feet of Krishna. So I think that can be the good conclusion for today's class, that Krishna's lotus feet is there. It's up to me to go and jump on that boat and cross this ocean of samsara. All right. Thank you very much for your attention. I hope you enjoyed this presentation. And if you have any comments or questions.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Mother Shri Radha Govinda Devi. Very beautiful as always. And I think Gopali, she also read so beautifully. Thank you so much. Dear devotees, if anyone may have questions, comments, realizations you may want to ask or share, reflections, realizations, please indicate by using the hand emoji or your physical hand, and you'll be asked to unmute to ask your question or to share your reflections. Hare Krishna. Very well. Well, Mother Shri Radha Govinda Devi, thank you so much for this wonderful delivery. As you were reading, I was thinking how Krishna is Master Mischief and Master Trickster also, because today is a very unique day for some of us, if not all of us, and the text reflects so much about what our heart's desire is for one of our God brothers. He's actually our God brother too, because he took initiation. His name is Eka Krishna Prabhu. He took initiation from Kirtanand Maharaj in the early 80s. And then he retook initiation from His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Maharaj. But as Krishna wills it, we lost him. And tomorrow will be his memorial. And there is no better prayer to offer to the Lord than what the demigods are praying to the Lord today. So we hope and pray that the Lord will listen to our prayers and receive this amazing soul in his bosom. So this is our humble prayer. And we thank you so much for sharing this with us. Gopali Devi, please give me unmute. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thanks so much for such a lovely, creative, poetic class. I really enjoyed it. It kept my mind engaged. So my question is, you gave some examples of like devotees, like let's say Draupadi, she couldn't take shelter of her husband, and you gave quite a few examples. But I know Krishna also likes it if we become kind of the servants of his devotees and try to please his devotees. So I was just wondering, like, can we really not try to take shelter of Krishna's devotees?
Okay, this is a very good question. What comes to mind is Parikshit Maharaj. The good example is Parikshit Maharaj took shelter of Shukdev Goswami. And the point is, he took shelter of Shukdev Goswami. First of all, Shukdev Goswami is Krishna's incarnation. And then he took shelter of Shukdev Goswami because he wanted Krishna. So the idea of taking shelter of another devotee needs to be done with a good balance. What is the goal and the motivation? Because in my personal experience, I have seen this need for seeking validation, seeking protection, seeking a sense of belonging, and expecting other people in my life. Could be my guru, could be my mentors, could be my husband, could be any friend or anybody, to expect them to save me. So Prabhupada, he speaks about Draupadi in a few contexts. So I'm going to like bring Draupadi first into this example. So when we know the situation, right? She was being harassed, she was being abused, and she called out first to Dhritarashtra, and then she called out to Bhishma, she called out to Dronacharya, and then she looked at her own 5 powerful husbands, and nobody was able to help her. So like Draupadi, even personally for me, I've sought help from people in my life, maybe friends, maybe family, external resources to overcome certain struggles. And some of the times the intentions of people may be very sincere, but they may not have the ability to solve my inner turmoil at times. Or even, so sometimes I've also felt trapped like Draupadi. Now, in case of Draupadi, the risk or the story of Draupadi is very how do you call it? Extreme. Okay, so her journey, right? She started off with that powerlessness. Nobody, even Pandavas or anybody, nobody could help. So that's why it exemplifies the idea of taking shelter of Krishna. Taking shelter of Krishna. But taking shelter of Krishna doesn't mean that we shouldn't take shelter of other people. But the idea is the theme, the focus should be on Krishna. So Draupadi's example shows that her efforts to take shelter of anybody else proved futile. And that's why she had to surrender to Krishna completely. And only thing she could do was just raise her hands and, hey, Govinda. So only in that moment, Krishna supplied the endless sari and he protected her honor. So the concept from that story is Prabhupada says a couple of times. Once he says that we need to fly in that purport to that section, Srimad Bhagavatam, when Draupadi's story comes, he says we must all fly our own flights. Means we need to take care of our own journey. And then because this comes up also when Pandavas, they all leave, they all in Himalayas, they're walking, and then one by one the Pandavas are dying, right? It's like that. So he speaking about Draupadi also. Prabhupada comments, if I recall, that they didn't look back at Draupadi and try to save her or anything. She died first, actually, and then the other Pandavas also. So the point is that whether it's public humiliation like Draupadi or an internal battle, we need to access that higher power, Krishna's guidance, and not to bow down between any other person because of, no, the motivation is very important. There have been circumstances in my life that I noticed that the fear was making me depend on a particular authority or a particular person. The fear, oh, they will be displeased with me, or, you know. So if it's driven by fear, no. Always I say there are the 4 indicators, right? If we are trying to surrender out of resentment or out of fear or out of selfishness, if I do this, then I'll get Mahaprasadam, you know, if I get through this person, or if I follow their rules and I belong to their group, then I can get a special VIP treatment in Janmashtami. I'm just giving a very random example here. So that's the thing. And then also Gajendra, also similar concepts come up there. He was very powerful and everything. He was a great king of the elephants, but everybody retreated. No followers, no she-elephants. Nobody was able to save him. The grip of the crocodile was just relentless, and even his own strength couldn't save him. So at this point, in Gajendra's story, another level of it, right? Even Draupadi's, even her own strength, she couldn't hold on to the sari. But in Gajendra's, it gets deeper. When we are rendered helpless and nobody can actually help us. Actually, the truth is nobody ever can help us. Krishna is always trying to give us chance so we can depend on him. So even in Gajendra's case, he tried, no, his own strength. He's Gajendra. He's powerful elephant, and still he couldn't get rid of this crocodile. So the concept of humility, powerlessness, and accepting that I can't do this on my own. None of my connections, influence, money, all these things, nothing is going to liberate me from this cycle of struggle. And another point I want to bring up in this question is a very, very relevant question for me. I've always pondered about this based on our personal experiences. Also in my profession, I always see different people have different karmas. Some people grow up in protected environment, really nice parents, nice devotional community, everything. They never really went through some sort of big crisis or trauma or difficulty. And they may be engaged in devotional service, doing good sadhana, etc. But in contrast to that, when devotees go through some serious struggle, personal, how do you say, external adversities, etc., in the moment of failure, then the anarthas, of course, surface more, and we have to fight it more. And in fact, if you see Srimad Bhagavatam, it's filled with stories of failures. All kinds of, in the purport also, Prabhupada is bringing up the fact that no amount, so many great sages fell down, whether it was Shaubari Rishi or whether it was Bharat Maharaj who had to take birth as a deer, whether it was Daksha who became very arrogant. And there are so many examples we can actually see of people becoming arrogant about themselves, their own position, their followers or whatever. So yeah, the idea is not that we need Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. We need sadhus, we need association of devotees, and Guru represents Krishna for us. But that dependence should have a right motivation, rather than relying solely on external reasons for this attachment on these people, or seeking validation on a material level. Rising above that and putting Krishna in the center. So that putting Krishna as the center is the powerful parallel we can draw from Draupadi's story and also Gajendra's story. Does that help? Because we are trapped in this ocean. My Shiksha Guru often gives this example. He says that life is like a train ride, and I'm in the engine room, and there's my spiritual master and every other relationship, right? Every other, including mentors, senior devotees, friends, family, children, you name it. They are like compartments in the train. So he always says, unless and until you take care of the engine room, every other compartment is at stake, is at risk. So we must prioritize the engine room. And the engine room is connection with the holy name. Serving, following the regulatory principles, chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Only if the engine room is in shape, anything else can be done. Otherwise, the train is Haribol. Yeah, does that answer? Yeah.
Yes, it does. Thank you. And I find it very practical just to like focus on the motivation of why I'm approaching people, and that I want to keep Krishna. That makes it very practical for me. So thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for your question, Gopali Devi. Brother Shirada, I have a view on Gopali Devi's wonderful question, and I want to share with you, and you may give further comment on it. And that is, I have my own guru, whom I try to serve as much as I possibly can, and I love him. My love is insignificant, but I love him anyway. But I also understand that when it comes to knowledge about Krishna and serving Krishna in a particular way, if my guru happens to tell me something contrary to what Srila Prabhupada has taught, then there is no reason for me to accept it. And therefore, there is the saying that Srila Prabhupada is the gold standard in ISKCON. So as much as I love my guru, I also look up to Srila Prabhupada and see if what my guru is telling me is in line with Srila Prabhupada's. And at the same time, come to understand and accept that my guru may disappoint me, may Krishna forbid, but there is such a possibility because it's happened before. And there are some devotees who have lost their devotional service because they thought that the guru is on a certain pedestal that nothing can touch them. And when the guru had some problems, they lost faith in Krishna and they lost their Krishna consciousness. And I also heard Srila Prabhupada himself say that, I am Prabhupada, you all look up to me, but I may disappoint you. But Krishna never will. Of course, we know Srila Prabhupada never disappointed any of us. But I am thinking that as much as we have to adore and worship our gurus, we should also not become so much alarmed if tomorrow something unwanted happens to our guru. Our faith in Krishna must still be there. And therefore, even though we hold our gurus so dear, we honor them, we worship them. May Krishna forbid, if something bad happens, we should still look up to Srila Prabhupada and then look up to Krishna. And that is why I think you were saying that even though Krishna himself wants us to worship his devotees, which is the highest form of worship, but because these devotees probably could fall victim to material nature's rigors and duties, we do not have to give up and still look up to Krishna, because Krishna will never disappoint us. That is my view. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Yeah, Guru, see, Guru is not just the person, is the Guru Tattva. So it's like the position, but the Guru Tattva is, like I'm remembering, I have a friend, and the guru, the guru of this particular friend, couple of friends, and this particular guru had a challenge. Something came up and everybody was criticizing it. And I was so proud of this friend. And she said, I'm so grateful I took my initiation before this happened, because I thought the person said, oh my God, why did I take initiation from this person? And no, this person actually had a different view. Say, I was so fortunate, I was able to get the mercy. So it's in the perspective. The gurus are, they have their own whatever, they have to bear the karmic baggage of all of us. So it's no joke. Some gurus may have mental crisis, some gurus may have physical difficulties. My Guru Maharaj gave a class recently and he was requesting, please follow regulative principles. I have food swollen in my... So, the Guru has to bear the sins the disciples do on their bodies. So the point being, these gurus are literally, like if Dadichi Muni gave away the bones for Indra to fight against Vritrasura, our gurus are giving their blood and their life and their everything to save us. So regardless of their weaknesses, if you weigh it on the scale, you will see even people may have had serious issues, this, that. You cannot throw the baby with the bathwater. Okay, so they may have challenges, but we must view the way Krishna views. For Krishna, come on, he makes Putana get a mother's position in the spiritual world. He makes Shishupala, who constantly abused him and insulted him and said horrible things about him, he gives him Sayuja Mukti and makes his soul emerge with his body. So that's Krishna, okay? Krishna doesn't care about weaknesses, this and that. What he is concerned is offenses. So sometimes we may focus so much on the guru's weakness that we get the analogy is in the 7th canto. It comes about the bee, and the bee is flying around and the worm is so scared of the bee. So it's constantly thinking of the bee. The bee is so scared, so scared. Eventually that worm becomes a bee. So if we keep focusing on the weakness of other people, then we also take on to it. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that if we speak about the wrong actions of others, we take the results of it and we free the person from it. So there's all these things. The idea is that Krishna consciousness is so broad, and we need to have a broad-minded vision to see Guru Tattva and not just the Guru in the thing, to see their contributions and not just want to have them run under the bus because they made a mistake 30 years ago, There are these concepts. I actually gave a class recently here, and Gopal, you were there in the class in Mayapur, right? That concept of looking at the three perspectives. What needs to be on the bigger, what needs to be done on the bigger picture, what needs to be done next thing, what do I need to do to heal, and how to help this guru, how to help the disciples, like the next step. And then there is always like, why me? Why Krishna wanted me to go through this? What's the lesson for me? Looking at three levels of looking at the problem. Thank you, Sahadev Prabhu. I think we should, maybe we have 1 minute or maybe 2 minutes, and then I need to get to sleep so I can do my sadhana tomorrow. So
Well,
maybe one more comment or question, and then we can end here.
well, Hare Krishna, thank you so much. Dear devotees, okay, Madhavan Prabhu, please give me unmute. Hare Krishna, Madhavan.
Prabhu, you're muted.
You are muted.
Sorry.
Okay, good.
Hare
Yeah.
Krishna. Hare Krishna, Mother. Thank you very much for your wonderful lecture and for giving us your time. Briefly, if we just, this is our purpose. Maybe I should off man. This purpose, I want us to look at the statement, especially the first two paragraphs. It said there are many sages and saints who engage in trying to conquer rebirth and all other material nature. But of all of them, those who take shelter under the lotus feet of the Lord can completely throw off.
Madhuvan Prabhu, I cannot hear you very clearly. I don't know, it's just me or?
I think he just reading it the purport.
Okay, but I don't know which part, I cannot hear the question properly.
Madhavan Prabhu, you may continue.
Okay. So my curiosity is that they say there are many stages and saints, who engages in trying to conquer rebirth. But then others who are engaged in transcendental activities in different ways cannot do so. My concern is that as a devotee, whenever we see sages and saints, there's tendency we might want to accept them even as our spiritual masters. So, we have these sages like Davasa Muni, Javana Muni. These Munis, they are so powerful and they have this mystical power which can ordinarily make a devotee become attracted to them. So how do we differentiate from these stages? Because ordinarily we would think the sage, then they are Krishna conscious. But in this purpose, there is differentiation between the two of them. Hare Krishna. I don't know if Sahadev.
Well, if I may try to repeat. Mother Shirada, his question is, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada opens the purport by comparing sages and saints who are doing many things to avoid this samsara rebirth. But oftentimes they are unable to become successful. But those who are devotees of the Lord, they do not have to do anything particularly to do away with the samsara. Krishna does it so easily. So his question is, when we hear of sages and saints, we automatically bow to them, worship them, respect them. Meanwhile, there are some, as Prabhupada is saying, even though they are sages, they are saints, they still cannot attain Krishna. So what is the difference? What is the difference that we have these sages and saints, yet they are unable to conquer rebirth, but the devotees are easily overcome rebirth? So what is the difference? That is his question, if I understood him.
How can we know the difference?
Yes.
Oh, so your question is, among these sages and saints, how do you know the difference between somebody who takes shelter of the lotus feet of Krishna and somebody who is just a saint or a sage who does not take shelter? Is that your question?
Yeah.
Yes, that's my question. Exactly.
Yeah. Actually, even Parikshit asks the same question. So we can see many examples, right? In one sense, it's like the personalists and impersonalists. The personalists are devotees of the Lord. So even though they may be kings, right? Prithu Maharaj or Parikshit Maharaj, Dhruva Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, they all got married, they had kids, they had kingdoms, they had everything material as well. At the same time, they kept Krishna in the center. The goal was Krishna. Samsiddhir Haritoshanam. The goal was to please Krishna. Whereas the other saints and the sages, their goal, in fact, if you read the Bhagavatam, in the beginning, when all the sages are there, some of the sages are impersonalists. So they are very, very bewildered when Shukadeva Goswami is speaking about Krishna and everything. And Parikshit Maharaj asks questions on their behalf to clarify. Oh, but what if they, he was wondering, what if these people are going to feel like this philosophy that Shukadeva Goswami is speaking is far-fetched? I can't. So he asks exactly the questions that you're asking. So the answer is, Parikshit Maharaj also asks, how are these devotees behaving? In fact, Arjuna also asks Krishna the same thing in the Gita. He asks, so these devotees, how do they sit? How do they walk? How do they speak? He asks the same question. So we want to be able to recognize, we want to be able to understand. And then another thing that comes to my mind is when Prabhupada would discourage professional singers from coming and doing kirtan. You'd say, like, it's not about how beautifully you play instrument or how nicely you can sing in amazing voice. It's about the heart. It's about the heart of the devotee. So one way, in Bhagavatam, one of the, proof is that what is the qualities of the Lord? So the devotee also has those qualities. And the answer comes in 7th canto, finally, because when Parikshit Maharaj asks Shukadeva Goswami several questions that leads to partiality of the Lord. This is something to what Madhuvan Prabhu is asking, what's the difference? Why this partiality? You're not saying that word, but it sounded like that. Why this partiality, right? Krishna is supposed to be impartial. Krishna is supposed to be equal to demons and demigods. But why does he side with only those who worship him? So then Shukadeva Goswami very beautifully, the whole 2nd, 3rd, 4th chapter of 7th canto opens up this concept there. Even Yudhishthir Maharaj, Narada Muni is quoting, because this is all like one quoting the other, so it's very interesting concept. And Yudhishthir also asks, why does the Lord appear partial here? Why does he always side with the demigods? Why he's always killing the demons? This question comes up. Then Sukadeva Goswami answers, and then the whole 7th canto is about Prahlad. Prahlad is born in a demon's family, right? So partiality, there's no question of partiality. Prahlad is a demon if you're talking about the race or the caste or something. And then it gets into Prahlad Maharaj's qualities. Prahlad Maharaj's qualities later in the chapters, 6th, 7th, 8th chapters is all about Prahlad Maharaj qualities, how he was tolerant, how he was patient, until and unless Hiranyakashipu poked and asked him. He was not even going to reveal Narada Muni's name. In fact, every time he will ask, I know this because of the Supreme Lord in my heart, Prahlad will say. Very diplomatic. Kshatriya, of course, he's born as a Kshatriya. So that the devotee is never trying to instigate anyone. A devotee is not like a demon. Until Hiranyakashipu was he was trying to protect Narada Muni. Prahlad was not going to reveal, because he knew Hiranyakashipu will go and punish Narada Muni if he comes to know who taught you all these things about devotional service and Supreme Lord. And because you're asking me the difference, right? The difference is Hiranyakashipu and Prahlad. Hiranyakashipu is me. I am God. I don't want anybody else to be the boss. I am the boss. Everybody has to abide by me. If you don't abide by me, I'll push you down the hill. I will trample you by the elephants. There is so much false ego. So anybody who acts from that sense of false ego, like Prahlad Maharaj later on says, he says, Tat sadhumanye suravarya dehinam sada samudvigna dhiyama sadgrahat. So Prahlad Maharaj is telling his father, my dear father, why are you always so anxious about me or being on the top? This material world is so full of anxiety. Just vanam gato yadharimashrayeta. Can you imagine 5-year-old boy to the king of the demons who had control over all the demigods, all the planets were tied to his throne. He tells the father, go to the forest, give up all this false ego and false sense of control. Why are you thinking I can control? And what's all this? Just become a devotee. So the perfect contrast between somebody who's sage, Hiranyakashipu was born to Kashyapa. Kashyapa is a sage. So he's demoniac in his nature, but his body is sagely in one sense. And he did everything. Prahlad Maharaj says in the 7th chapter of the 7th canto, he goes on to describe that how the Lord will never be pleased with all the qualities of austerity and tapasya and hygiene and, following very strict. And these things are not something that pleases the Lord. Why? Hiranyakashipu did all those things. So the great contrast is Prahlad, he's like, see, the truth is this, Madhuvan Prabhu, I think this is the core of the answer. Prahlad was not getting his way. He was not getting his way. He was tortured by the Sanda and Amarka, the teachers. He was tortured by the father. I mean, all kinds of things were happening with him. So things are not going his way. That's the truth. Things are not going Hiranyakashipu's way either. He wants the little boy to accept that he's supreme, and the little boy will not accept that. Little boy, 5-year-old, so dependent on the father, is not going to relent and accept Hiranyakashipu as the supreme lord. So both the great personalities, let's keep in mind that Hiranyakashipu is also Jaya, his great devotee from the spiritual world, but great devotee, but he is obsessed with himself being the supreme. So even if we do austerities, but if we are doing it for the purpose of putting ourselves in the superior position, Sada samudvigna dhiyam asadgrahat. Prahlad Maharaj says, we will always be fed up with anxieties. That's the world. See, in this world, only really people that are great in sense of materially, I'm saying, okay, not even devotional, materially, somebody who has to really have a good reputation. It's their character and capacity over time that makes a person really worthy of reputation, right? Except the 3 types of people, the narcissists, the psychopaths, and I forget the other one. So these are the people that try to steal without their character, right? They want to get power. So sometimes the saints and the sages, they want power, mystic power. They want to conquer things that they don't want to surrender to Krishna. So that humility of Prahlad to say, as Krishna wants, if Krishna wants my father to try to kill me in all these ways, Mare Krishna rakhe ke, rakhe Krishna mare ke. Krishna will protect me, fine. If he doesn't protect me, it's fine. Another example is Prithu Maharaj. Prithu Maharaj, he had done 99 Ashwamedha sacrifice. I mean, he had done 99 of the yagyas, right? Ashwamedha. One more would have made him very, very powerful. And Indra kept stealing the horse, stealing the horse, stealing the horse, stealing the horse. So in this situation, Indra was frustrated. Oh my God, if Prithu Maharaj gets it, he'll become the Indra. What will happen to me? My position. So in the contrast between Indra is so attached to the position, and Prithu Maharaj was preached to by Vishnu. Vishnu came down and said, you know what? Let it be. Don't do the 100th yagya. Let it be. If he was not a devotee and he was just a saint or a sage or a great person, he would have said, no, I've done 99, I'm going ahead with the last one. I don't care about Indra. Who is this Indra anyway? He didn't do that. He said, fine. And he didn't do the 100th. He said, as the Christians say, right, thy will be done. Thy will, not mine, be done. So that's the parameter to distinguish. Does this person want God's will or he wants his will? Because saints and sages who are not devotees will say, my will. They want their mystic power, their austerity, me. A devotee will say, thy will be done. There's another verse, last Bhagavatam verse. The verse goes, Narayana para sarve na kutaschana bhibhyati swarga pavarga narakeshu apitulyartha darshina. So a saint or a sage will say, oh, I don't want to go to hell. I don't want this. I don't want that. This is unclean. I don't want to go to America. I am very peaceful in Vrindavan. I will just take care of deity worship and chant Hare Krishna or whatever, right? But not Hare Krishna, whatever he wants to chant. But Prabhupada is another example. He said, I'll go to the hellish country because it's the order of my spiritual master, because it's Krishna's will. So that's another thing, that a devotee of Krishna, of Narayan, does not consider this is hell, this is heaven, this is pleasant, this is not, this is clean, this is unclean, these are all hippies and junkies, why should I go and associate with them? Prabhupada did it. It's hell. Go to America was hell. He had to share a fridge with the place where there was a dog food in there. Such a clean Brahmana. But the point is, Krishna, he wanted Krishna's will. So that's a devotee. Somebody who does aligns to God's will. Somebody says, thy will be done no matter what.
Thank you very much, Father. Thank you very much. I so much appreciate. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mother Sri Radha Govinda. Dear devotees, I think we've come to the end of today's Krishna Katha, so beautifully and wonderfully delivered by Her Grace, Sri Radha Govinda Devi. But before we leave, we're going to humbly request you all, and more particularly, our revered speaker, Her Grace, Sri Radha Govinda Devi. I'm putting this image here. This is the devotee we've lost. And you may see here, his name is Eka Krishnadas. And we also have Ekat. When he first took initiation from Kirtanand Maharaj, he was named Ekat Das. And then when he had to retake initiation from Jayapataka Maharaj, because everybody knew him by that name, so Maharaj tweaked it a little bit, and I know the gurus do that. So his name became Eka Krishnadas, and he was 67 when he left, and since Mother, you I believe you are in Jagannath Puri, you may pray to Lord Jagannath on his behalf, that whatever might have been impurities or shortcomings in his devotional service, the Lord may ignore and accept him in his bosom. So this is our humble prayer, and we thank you all devotees for being here. Hare Krishna. Well, so dear devotees, we're going to humbly request you all to kindly unmute, and we all chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra to express our appreciation to our revered speaker, Her Grace, Sri Radha Govinda Devi Dasi, and also for, so surprisingly, now we say late Eka Krishna Prabhu. Jai. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Grace Srimati Radha Govinda Devi Dasi ki Jai. This compounder Acharya Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. His Grace Ekat Prabhu ki Jai. God glory.